Within the 2000s, a lot of individuals figured that using real estate by buying it on a cheap value only to sell it a few years later was a good way in order to get a quick buck. Well, that hustle ended around 2007, 2008, which, given the fact that a lot of individuals used real estate on a bubble market because of a lot of banks lending out variable loans to unqualified individuals and having those loans as part of mortgage-backed securities, all of this started what we call the Great Recession. This happened around 2008, 2009. I'm sure you guys remember that unless you're a Gen Zer and was worried more about your KD ratio on Call of Duty than what was going on in the news and in the world at the time. As a result, the federal government, seeing that you had some companies who were around for about a century go out of business, figured that some other companies needed some help. A help that came in a bailout. The bailout which a lot of people derogatively say too big to fail. Now, looking back at what happened and how a lot of these banks were bailed out by the taxpayer dollars, yours and mine, we're now seeing a similar instance in which not a country nor banks, but a community is looking for a similar bailout plan. And that bailout plan, well, we all know what that bailout plan was or should have been. And we know the culprits. We won't mention the individuals because I'm not trying to rile up any debates that go on. But as far as this is concerned, we know what the plan should have been. A lot of us were reared for this plan. And this plan was to bail out the community. Yes, the same community that told us that we didn't have what it took. We weren't worthy enough. We didn't have enough swag. We were not seen as cool enough. And we aren't just talking about when it comes to the chicks. We get it. That's fine. You desire who you desire. But I'm here to remind you guys today that the days of being the bailout plan, the predestined destination of being the bailout plan for the community, is on the verge of being derailed. And I'm glad that I had a little part involvement in that ultimate derailment. You see, like a parent's business says, you see, you guys see, but you see, a lot of these individuals had a predestined plan. Perhaps before you were born, definitely afterwards, definitely by the time you were in elementary or middle school, they saw where you stood on the social totem pole, how you acted, how you interacted, and how the matriarchal saw you as, particularly women who were your age. And given how they reacted was how the community or community pegged you as. If you were seen as select, if you were seen as worthy, if you were seen as having enough swag, you didn't have a lot to worry about. You were able to do what you do because that's who you is, and we love you for it. And if you got caught up, then free my, you know what? Yeah, free Nook and Day from the BS that they ravish upon the same neighborhood they grew up in. Exactly. We know the rest. But if you didn't fit into that image, you didn't fit into that lifestyle, if you refused to conform to the normal ADOS programming, then not only were you seen as less than, not only were you seen as not select, but you had individuals who had the gall to see you as a standby bailout plan, the beta bucks, the guy they will look up to when all else fails, the break glass just in case of emergency kind of guy, the little soldier, as Obsidian stated in one of his previous podcasts. The little soldier that has no opinion, has no rights, has no privileges, but has all the responsibilities and expectations of the world put onto him, or at least the world of the community, the diaspora. Maybe not so much the diaspora, but you get what I'm saying. We were treated as the Washington, D.C. of the community. Taxation, but no representation whatsoever. Well, I'm here to tell you guys that for any individuals who feel pressure to give back to the community, particularly if they didn't give back anything to you, or even if they didn't give back anything, but if they didn't show love, if they didn't show any moral support, any solidarity, any sort of feminine companionship, and it doesn't have to be in a sexual way, it could have been in a very agape love kind of way. If they didn't show at least that towards you in a genuine way, I'm here to tell you that you are not the communitized bailout plan. Yes, we were forced to bail out certain banks like Bank of America and Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo. Companies that we bailed out, and as a result, they returned the favor to the American citizens by ripping them off, putting fees on fees on fees, having individuals sign up for stuff that they didn't need or that they weren't aware of. And then when they got caught, firing the people on the lower part of the totem pole, firing the people who did the work, and in some cases, unintentionally, while the bigwigs got away scot-free. Or if they had to resign, they got the parachute package. And that's what the community expects from you. After all the screw-ups, after all the thugging, after all the swagging, after all the partying, after all the clubbing, their ways get caught up with them just because of old age or because of life. Then that's when they want you, the community, to bail them out. The bailout plan. That's all this is. All the shaming language of you coming back to the community, all the shaming language of saying you ain't a real man if you don't do this, or all the shaming language of you want to assimilate the white culture. Look, all that is a shaming tactic for you to be a good boy and be the bailout plan. And before I elaborate on that, as far as assimilating to white culture, what do you think this is, the 80s, 90s? Have you seen white culture of today? The average American white culture, whether it's on the left with the soy boy force like this, guys, you're going to associate with guys who talk like this and be like, hey guys, what's going on? Today we are going to talk about the metaphysics between why Marxist socialism is good and how it affected the MCU universe and all the plot holes and twists that we can find today and how that interlinks with the Pixar universe, guys, and the reason why Nickelodeon is no longer good, well, actually it isn't, but, and why Hidden Dragons is the most innovative band of all time, and how we will no longer need to do the nasty in order to make kids. And don't forget the sex robots. We got the sex robots coming up, and that we can make them like hentai characters and like cartoon characters, like the ones we grew up with watching on Disney. Oh man, I want to bang me one of those Ariel chicks, or one of those Snow White chicks, or one of those Pocahontas chicks. You know, we gotta give back to the natives because our ancestors took their land, so you know we gotta give back to the cause. Or one of those Jasmine robots. Oh man, that Jasmine. Oh yeah, she. You know that thickness. She may even convert me over to Islam or Hinduism or whatever religion of what country she comes from. Or better yet, one of those Mulan robots. They love us white guys. You know that, right? They want to associate with that culture, or on the rightist side. The alt-righters talking about, we could talk about how a lot of what the elites are doing are screwing us over, like the military industrial complex, or corporate America with their corporate welfareism, or just the dude bros who are benefiting from corporate welfareism because the only people who are really getting hired to get the 6 positions in the private sector are either Brad and Chad, their dad's friends or their friends' dads who are hiring them. We can talk about that. We can talk about Big Pharma and how they aren't putting out cures that the rest of the world is getting. We can talk about how Trump is being John Bolton and Mike Pompeo's bitch and being pushed into war with Iran and with Venezuela. We can talk about that, but no, that's not what's ruining the world. What's ruining the world is this BBC. This BBC is paying our Beckies. They're invading them! They're invading them! We need to fight! We need to fight for our country back! We need to bring back Western values! Because the West is dying! I'm telling you, the West is dying! But you know what? You know what we're gonna do to fight back against the BBC and the ultimate Frisbee champions? We're the ultimate leaders of this. We're gonna get ourselves a bunch of Mulans. We're gonna get a bunch of Mulans. Yes, we're gonna get them. We're gonna merge with them, and we're going to take back America and make America really great again. That's white culture in a nutshell. You think I'm gonna mess with that? The white American culture has not been great since the 1990s, early 90s. Please. This community bailout plan. You have other individuals who think that, and shout out to George Macon. I know he was roasting. I didn't catch that part. I was actually busy, but he basically stated, well, we're going to need to tell all the Beckys to stop putting out the Santos clutch so he can help us in the community, and we'll be one real manosphere. So, are you saying what I just stated for the past 10 minutes? That you need poor old Santos clutch, the coon extraordinaire, to help you? Is Santos clutch the real determining factor between the community getting its ass kicked and the community getting its shit together? You're saying that I'm Iron Man? Well, in that case, well, hell no. I saw Endgame. I would skip out and be an Iron Man. Thank you very much. For any of you who have not seen Endgame at this point, semi-spoiler. I'm not going into it. Now, place me with thinking black men in general. That is what they're saying about all of us, about all thinking black men, that we need to be the bailout plan. Well, I'm just here to remind you and to stand in solidarity with you that you are no one's bailout plan. Not the community, nor the community. Whatever community you're in, you're not even the white man's bailout plan. I'm sorry to say, I'm sorry, white dudes. I know it sounds white as you, but we are not your bailout plan either. You, as a thinking man, regardless of race, and this can be applied to white America, you are not Becky's bailout plan after she's through with Brad, Chad, Bubba, and Cooter, or even the hoodlum Tyrones. There's a difference between Terrence and Tyrone. If you were a thinking white man, a thinking Asian man, yeah, you know how your women are with Brad and Chad, yeah. You're definitely not their bailout plan after they're just playing around in the snow all day. But in any case, look, nobody is no one else's bailout plan, particularly if they didn't cover you first and all your wants and needs. So take this as a reminder to live the ethos and the life that resembles true individual liberty. Everyone else out there, always bet on X.